Hi, this is Michael Uslan. You're listening to Batman on Film.
I'm vengeance.
I have given a name to my pain.
The Batman.
Always waiting for some Batman to save you.
It's simple. We kill the Bat of Gotham. I'm Batman.
Hey now, welcome to episode number 55 of the Batman on Film Social Hour. I am the founder of Batman on Film, Bill Jett Ramey, and this is going to be a completely open, if you want to call them spoilers now. I don't know if I call them spoilers. Ryan, do you at this point? Ryan Lauer, everybody, senior BOF contributor, has joined me yet again. I mean, the movie's out, so can it be spoilers?
Yeah, I think it's just easiest to be that disclaimer of
Okay.
no holding back.
Okay. If you
Full
haven't
steam
seen
ahead.
if you haven't seen the Batman yet, then you don't need to listen to this podcast right now. You need to go back to number 54 and listen to it, because it is a review podcast with no spoilers that Ryan and I did a few days ago, right after, well, before the film came out.
Almost
actually.
a week.
Yeah. Okay.
Almost a week ago.
Yeah, it was right. It was Wednesday after I'd seen it the week before. He saw it at the first IMAX fan screenings week prior.
Bill, I've grown a lot since then, because that was before I ever had gumbo. I've had gumbo now.
We had, speaking of which, we had the big Batman on Film watch party. Shout out and thanks to everyone who attended. That was a good turnout, man. Well, we had about 40 people.
You call that successful, right?
Yeah, that was the
A
biggest
hell of a
one.
weekend.
Yeah, biggest one we
It was
ever
a great
had.
weekend. Mm-hmm.
We had Team Batman on Film at over my house Friday evening, and that was a good time. I didn't want y'all to leave. Y'all had y'all's ride. I was like, damn, really already?
We would have definitely overstayed our welcome if we didn't have our rides there.
So
we pushed it.
Yeah. So how was the gumbo?
Oh, it was great.
Okay, because Ryan
It was
had never
great.
had gumbo.
I had two
before.
bowls. I probably could have done three, but I had to eat Rick Shoe's microwaved ribs. I kid Dick Shoes. Those were delicious as well. The spread was great, but the gumbo was of course the highlight. We heard about it long time.
His Chicago style ribs in Texas. When people come into Texas to sample, I mean, gumbo's more of a Louisiana food, but
I'll give the credit. Those were good as well. The food all around was delicious.
Okay.
But yeah, I didn't try the seafood gumbo.
Okay. I made
But
two.
the chicken was
chicken and sausage, chicken and andouille sausage, and then a shrimp and crab gumbo. Yeah, I made two different versions. So yeah, damn near all went. There was just a little bit left over at the end. That was a lot. And
it's a compliment then.
Yeah, but no,
All right.
hey, Michael Vera set the record on bowls of gumbo, sir.
Did he put away half the pot?
He went into a gumbo coma.
Oh boy.
There in the latter part of Friday evening.
He was happy though.
Yeah.
So there you go.
It was a happy gumbo coma.
And I mean, those guys from Jersey, they have high expectations on food. So
yeah,
there you go.
Yeah. I actually had Pete and his brother over because they stayed an extra day. And I had them over Sunday afternoon for supper, and I made there was some gumbo left. I had that out, and I made a big jambalaya. They sampled some of that. All right. So at this point, I think you are winning the Batman viewing competition with me. You've seen it 4 times now, right?
4 times. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was what I mean. You sent me a text yesterday morning, right when I got up, and you were like,
"Yeah,
hey, what's your schedule today?" And I said, "Well, I'm getting around to go see the Batman."
Yeah,
just arrived, not even 12 hours prior home, and Yeah. I just got to go see the Batman again.
I'm still sitting at 3, but I do have my tickets wherever I put them. But this is a podcast, so whatever. I bought tickets for an IMAX screening Friday at 3 p.m. So I'm gonna me and announcer Rachel are going. That'll be time number 4. Now, well, I take that back. There's a strong possibility, Ryan, that I go down to my local theater a couple miles down the road and see a regular screen showing of it. There's no IMAX.
Sure. To build up to that IMAX.
Yeah.
Because you've been in a standard theater this whole time, right?
3 times. Yeah.
So IMAX, you're going to be treating yourself to something special.
Yeah. Looking forward to IMAX. So just a quick update before we get into it. The Batman had an A- cinema score, and that's good. That's really good. Anything in the A's is really good. Cinema score is kind of weird in that everything below a B+ is considered bad. So it's just different levels of bad,
Mm-hmm.
And then B+ and up. B+ is probably, it's okay. Yeah. And then it progresses, from there. Now B+ was like, yeah, it's good. Enjoyed it. And then when you get to the A's, it's getting to like really good. And then I think there's only been a handful of movies or A+. There's a list you can find wherever you want to go. It sits right there with, I think, The Dark Knight, Batman 89, Dark Knight Rises, all had A's.
Got it.
And then comes Batman, the Batman A-. Batman Forever isn't actually an A-, sir.
How about that?
And people go, what? And I'm like, okay. Batman Forever was a huge hit in 1995. People seem to forget that sometimes.
Yeah, I think you said something of like, let's not have revisionist history of at the time, that was a huge success.
It was a huge success.
People loved it.
Yes, they did. A lot. It was a very popular film.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't surprise me. Box office wise, did really well. It's been updated twice after the initial reports. Domestic took in 134 million. Higher than expected turnout Sunday. To me, that tells me that people saw it probably at the early screenings, saw it Friday and Saturday, and told their friends, "Hey, that the Batman is pretty damn good." So people, went out and saw it. There's no football, there's no college football, there's no NFL football right now. Baseball is still striking. You got hockey and NBA basketball, college basketball, and the NCAA tournament hasn't started. So let's go watch a movie,
Well, it's always, and I know how this can sound, but I think you'll know what I mean. It's always a good sign too if their projections and then they're like, update, actually we underestimated. And then they come back again. Oh, whoops, we underestimated a little bit again. So that's a positive. Oh no, it's doing better than even guessing, because I think it's weird to me how those first estimates gave that wide 135 to 185, and then we got closer, and then it was like, then it became somewhere of like 90, I thought, to 110 or something. I don't know. It was
Box Office Pro. I
think
when they readjusted theirs from the original, it went to 125 to like 160 something, maybe 155, 165.
Yeah.
And they're adjusted. And then I was going to say, even the overseas has been updated.
And there's two big markets still coming, right?
Yes. 124.2 million. So overall, after opening weekend, including the early screenings, 258.2 million. That is not shabby. I'm sure they have a conga line going in Burbank under the water tower at Warner Brothers.
Because I mean, not to we've all gotten so obsessed with box office and stuff because you remember how I thought it was always reported that the movie was 100 million for its budget, and then it was either like Deadline or Variety, one of the major trades. It said that it started to say it was like a $200 million
Probably
budget.
counting marketing.
Okay, that's what I thought because I think it was Garrett, because Garrett's a wise man, and he said, well, because this is a Batman and it's a superhero movie, we're hearing every single step of the process where a lot of other movies we just get at the end, the total budget. But because we follow this, whereas it's not any different than any other movie here. It's just now accounting probably, like you just said, marketing, and
marketing, publicity, and
in that case, it's cleared it worldwide on its first weekend. So it's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.
Yep.
And I don't know if let's just talk about the movie. There's something I do want to bring up. You know, the Gotham City Police Department show has morphed into or transformed into Arkham show, but I'd heard, and we talked about it on these. I heard that there's a possibility for an Arkham thing, and I thought it would be like a third show. But anyway, that's a hope for a whole different podcast, actually.
It's another one. Okay.
Yeah. So, but if you want to read the story, it's on Batman on Film. All right. So this is going to be like two guys sitting around at a bar talking about this movie. That's how it's going to be. And there's really no set agenda. Okay. You told me a week ago when I said, okay, can you give it a grade yet? You'd only seen it one time. You said, yeah, it's A-ish. It's A. A-ish. Where do you, after 4 showings, where does it sit with you?
I mean, it's teasing with that A+.
Okay.
I think I said on our talk last week too that Dark Knight's number 1 for me. Still is. But then it got really fuzzy of what's number 2, Begins, 89, or this one. I think it's cleared 89. So no offense. Michael Keaton. Still love it. But I think it's cleared that, and now it's duking it out with Begins. And I think I gotta let it set for a little while.
How close is it to The Dark Knight?
Oh, it's close. Yeah, it's close. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
That's as good of an answer as I have.
I could say, I believe that it's my favorite Batman movie.
Yeah.
It is more quote unquote my Batman than any of the live action Batman films. And I love the Dark Knight trilogy. I love Batman 89, and I really like Batman Forever. And I mean, I got to say it's damn near a perfect Batman movie because it's so Batman, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It is the most Batman. It's the most you see Batman. It's just I love it, and I gave it an A+ after one screening.
Sure,
you know.
I think it's just because it provides so many different elements of Batman.
Yeah,
and the fact that it is, and I love that Reeves took the angle of we're at his perspective basically the entire movie, so he's in like every scene.
Yeah,
we don't know what Oz is doing off screen because Batman doesn't know exactly what he's doing off screen. Mm-hmm. We only know what he's doing when Batman's there discovering, you know, and I think that's really cool and effective. And then we get how his walking from the shadows and scaring him that way, his meetings with Gordon, his ass kicking, how many times have we seen in like read in comics and stuff. And I think it was even like some rumor early on in Reeves' scripting stage of it's like he goes into the Iceberg Lounge to talk with Penguin, you know. It's like we've been long waiting for that of established, and we got a little bit of that in The Dark Knight, you know, when he went and saw Maroni. They really expanded it here of what we constantly, you know, see in comics of him going to visit to get to be a detective, the detective work itself, the amazing Batman like chase or Batmobile chase, all that is just like so many different Batman elements in the movie.
Yes, and that's why I say it's the most Batman, and it's not
Yeah.
because he's in every scene, either mostly Batman, but Bruce Wayne as well. And you also get the Bruce Wayne Batman goes through an arc in this film, and it's very significant. And you see his evolution from vengeance to hero to Gotham's hero. It's done in such a symbolic way. I was still like, ooh, you know,
Yeah.
on that third screening.
There you go. Fourth screening. Still got some chills on that.
Yeah.
That part. After that, I'm vengeance. Look at him, and then that whole that just the hero moment of him. I think his big arc moment right there at the end, the grapple to the line and cut it, and just falls and then rises and helps the people. Like, that's great.
Yeah, and it's speaking of that, I've seen people criticize the third act for, well, it went from this intimate detective story to this, big set, action piece, and was kind of, I wish it would have stayed. But to me, and I don't say they didn't get it, but the purpose of that was that there had to be something that big for Batman to have to get out of vengeance mode and then and save Gotham. Now, he didn't save Gotham completely. I mean, Gotham's still flooded,
No, yeah, and that when you think about it, because then his narration following that, as he's carrying the woman over to get to the helicopter and stuff, and his narration even says, I have had an effect, not the one that I want, or something like that. And that instantly made me think, in a loose way, that's related to the Long Halloween, the moment that Gordon and Batman are walking in Arkham, and Gordon says, there's nearly twice as many people in here as inmates as when you first started. And his narration is, I know what Gordon's hinting at, that, I've inspired and gotten more of these. And that's what it made me think of right away of, I've had an effect, but it's a bad one. I've kind of inspired the Joker or the Riddler and his followers. And that's not the one I want. And I think that's really great, because that's where it's different. Because as we've said, you and I've said, we love the Dark Knight trilogy, flat out.
Yes.
The tool that he used in Begins is fear. And this makes a transition of, no, I want the people of Gotham to be able to know that, like, I'm here to help you. I'm here. It's not instilled of, I need to scare the shit out of you.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm here to defend the people of Gotham, and they need to look at me as kind of like, their leader.
Yeah.
Which is definitely a core of it. And a core, not saying he wasn't trying to do that in the Dark Knight trilogy, but it's still different too.
It's different in it also, because I want to get back to this final scene, but
sure.
The difference is this Batman has no intention of, I think he knows that things may get better, but they're never going to get better. Yeah. He's there to protect. He's there to do what he can. He's there to lead. Whereas, excuse me, in the Dark Knight trilogy, it was always a finite. Batman was always a finite thing for Bruce Wayne. Now he discovers in the Dark Knight trilogy that Batman will always be needed. Therefore, the Dark Knight trilogy, Batman, it's a symbol. It's an everlasting. It's more than me, and it's more than the man. It's, this one is from the get-go. He knows that this is it. And it's even alluded to between him and Selina, when she says, come with me, and then she says, and she says, well, you're already taken. And then he's taken because it's Gotham,
And so, like, everything that you just said and how it's different from the Dark Knight trilogy, yet you can totally see that they both like, but there is some roots of
Oh,
both.
there's
It's like that's pure Batman.
there is
and it, like
yes.
that's why it works for both too.
The DNA of Batman and
Yes, there you go.
and the DNA of what came before with Batman on film is in this movie, as it should be. It's not really to pay homage to what came before, but I mean, you can take it that way a little bit, but it's like in the comic books.
Yeah.
You read the comic books and it's the DNA of Bill Finger, his writing from 1939 through the 50s and 60s in Batman comics is still there, and all the other writers and so forth, just like the writers today are channeling their Frank Miller and Denny O'Neil and so forth. But speaking and then being a leader, and it's the whole, I want to that I mean, at that point he's already his whole arc, he starts to turn after he finds out about the Wayne family. We'll get to that next, now that I brought it up. And he finds out about his father had made, anyway, he finds out something about his father and his family that he didn't know. But he started to turn, and he goes and he's sitting there, and Alfred wakes up in the hospital, and he's
which, first of all, Alfred looks at him and smiles.
Yeah. And
Bruce's instant first thing is, you lied to me.
Yeah. You lied to me,
smile goes
Alfred.
away fast. It's kind of like, oh man, this is a talk that we knew was coming.
And you know what? You make that point. It's like Alfred is glad to see him, and he does that. He's still this cold. He's cold, Bruce Wayne, in the beginning. And then Alfred, they have the discussion. Alfred tells him, your father was a good man.
Yeah.
And basically, he made a mistake, but he also, Falcone is a little bit, Falcone's full of shit. He's not telling you the whole story. And then Bruce, anyway, that's one, and then Bruce gets to, I don't want to lose someone I care about again, and grabs, holds his hand, because before that, he's like an alien, man. He has, it's all Batman, and he has no time for anything other than the mission. And then, you get to that final confrontation. There's that last Riddler follower. We've
had two Joker slips already.
And there's that Riddler follower, and he beats the shit out of that guy. And who are you? And it's like, I'm Vengeance. And he's like,
oh shit, is this what
this is what
I'm like?
Yeah.
This is me. We're not the same.
Yeah. And so, and then he cuts that cable to keep those people from they were going to get electrocuted in that water.
Yeah.
And he falls in there, and then he goes, lights up that torch, and he holds out his hand, and they're all looking at him like freaking scared of him still. And the kid takes his hand. And then the mayor, which is almost kind of like,
I love that the mayor,
Gotham,
Yep, exactly. And I thought of that right away. I love that the mayor, that she took his hand next.
Because they're still leery, all the people. And then she does it. And then
everybody.
And then they follow him out. They're following him.
How great is that shot as after he moves that stuff and he's holding that flare, the red on him, and yet still it's pretty dark and stuff like it. Oh, that looks great.
Yeah.
So the hooded guy, texted you about it.
Yeah.
You told me, actually, like, looking him up, it's just a guy.
Yeah.
Because I thought that, I wondered if we were supposed to know who he was, because it felt like we sat on it a little bit. And this is why that moment in the arc and stuff hit me a lot better later on, because I didn't focus so much on who that was, who the Riddler follower who said, I'm Vengeance. But I mean, even, it's not somebody that we'd seen before. I think he's even credited. It's not the point of who that guy is like literally is. It is just that he said, "I'm vengeance."
Yeah.
And that's Batman's big
Yeah.
moment. So I think that is what helped me. Where the first viewing, I was so caught up in, wait,
Yeah.
who's that supposed to be?
Yeah.
It helped later viewings that I wasn't focusing on that at all. 'Cause, I think that was it on that part. Yeah.
So did I think I asked you in this last one. You can talk about in more detail. Did the Wayne family, the Arkham family, okay, in this story, Martha, his mother is an Arkham, and of course Thomas Wayne is a Wayne, and they're like the founding fathers of Gotham, founding the first families of Gotham, and did the whole thing, and then Thomas Wayne going to Falcone. That because you have a strong take, or just the way you want the Wayne family to be. What did you think?
They
More
were
detail.
similar to how friend of the show Tim Sheridan wrote Long Halloween movies. Similar to what he did in that movie, in the sense of it was like dipping the toes into the idea, but they did not like dive head first. In the movie, it was Thomas Wayne is like, you're shot and you're dying, I'm going to help you because that's what I do.
Yeah.
And that's as quote unquote corrupt as he really got. In here, it was Falcone manipulated the situation because, as Alfred says, that's what he does. He waits to try and get something on you. And Thomas Wayne is like, I'm trying to protect my wife. I mean, from Alfred's perspective, which Alfred would know, and you just trust.
Yeah.
At that, like,
Alfred, you trust him. No, you trust
always
Alfred.
Trust Alfred.
Period.
If you don't trust Alfred, then don't watch the movie because we don't trust you.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, he didn't give a damn about it. Wasn't about winning the race, the mayoral race. It was to protect his wife because this is information of like, this doesn't need to come out.
Yeah.
Like, leave her alone. And Falcone took advantage of that and manipulated it. So to me, he did make a mistake. And this is a line that Falcone said that I totally agree with. It shows that even a good man, what he'll do in certain situations. Yeah. And I think that is relatable to where the kind of person, I mean, maybe it's just like too deep, but in real life, of if you're for what you have to do or what you can accomplish when you have to.
Yeah.
Or what you have to do.
Yeah.
And maybe it's something that you wouldn't, I don't want to, but I have to. So that worked for me because I was a little skeptical because I'll follow a good story, but to completely corrupt the Waynes, I don't like that. Yeah. And I don't think this was a corrupting the Waynes. It was him trying to protect his family, and it took a bad turn.
Maybe it makes them a little more real in a way.
Sure.
Not being perfect. Yeah. His mother is in and out of mental hospitals. She has, obviously has had some mental health issues.
Because did you fully believe the Riddler's findings? Like that video, do you believe that's true? All of it is true? Not if it was Falcone or Maroney or anything.
No, I think that I do, because it seems like that's pretty well documented in terms of the film. I was going to say that they did leave who killed the Waynes ambiguous.
Yeah, which I thought was well done.
Falcone insinuates to Bruce that it's Maroney. Alfred doesn't insinuate. He says he thinks it probably could have been Falcone, but he also says it could have just been a random thug on the street, random mugging.
Yeah. So they didn't pin themselves in a corner.
Yeah.
If they need to revisit that for something in the future, they can.
So Joe Chill could exist. That could have been the deal.
Yeah.
So with that,
I guess, what do you think? Did you like that or not?
Yes.
But they didn't go too far with the Waynes.
I'm with you on that 100%. I may not have liked it myself if they were just straight up pure assholes,
Yeah.
you know.
Like that Telltale series, I still haven't played it, but I covered the comic book with Haas before, and I told him, I was like, I can't ignore a good story, and I think the whole story works and it's good.
Yeah.
But I don't like the perception of the Waynes.
But that's just
because of that.
That's just my
sensibilities,
my prejudices and biases coming into play.
Yeah.
Some people said that they didn't have the guts to go all the way with it. And that's a fair criticism. I don't agree with it.
It would be ballsy.
Yeah.
Like, lack of a better term, it would be pretty ballsy to take a chance like that.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I'm glad that they didn't.
Yeah. So I can say that's fair, but I like the way it was.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that.
That's as close as I want it to tier.
Yeah. Yes. So,
well, related to that, and this is where it would be great to ask Matt Reeves, and maybe I will when I have lunch with him later this week.
Okay. Yes. Make sure.
Deliberately making the reporter an Elliot and then putting Hush afterward. You know.
Yeah.
A fun. I know it's your favorite story. Fun nod, planting a seed, because I think I texted you about with the Edward Elliot, and that could almost plant the seed in the sense of, you know, hey, they're Tommy Elliot, and now he's on like a revenge on Bruce because his dad, he could read it as see this and see, oh my gosh, so your dad had my dad killed.
Mm-hmm.
And that could keep this connection going.
Mm-hmm.
And he has some kind of thing as Hush, but then also, would that be kind of repeating? Would Reeves find it repeating himself because it is based on Thomas Wayne yet again?
I don't think that it was. I don't think it was happenstance.
Yeah.
I think it's there for a reason. Matt Reeves is too dialed in on Batman history and mythos and the stories not to
Edward
have
Elliot
it that way.
Means nothing. It's just Joe Schmo.
Yeah. But and he's up because he's also said that a lot of these what will become Batman Dylans, quote unquote, they exist. They may not be, they're not their fully formed versions. They're not even, may not even be any form of their version, you know, yet. But that all exists already somewhere. So I think it could be as simple as that, or when he starts writing the story for the sequel, if that's a route he wants to go, then I'm fine. I'm fine with it. And it's there. The seed has been planted. It's in the fabric of this universe now, you know?
And it was, I didn't research it enough, so I didn't find this myself, but someone had messaged me and told me that Edward Elliot was used in the Gates of Gotham story.
Okay.
Which was written by Kyle Higgins, who was in that batch of names in the special thanks.
Okay.
And so I think that would make sense for that. And he was one with Alan Wayne and the Theodore Cobblepot. I don't know if you ever read Gates of Gotham.
I have not.
Okay, it's good. It was in that era of Dick Grayson was Batman, but I mean it was written, it was really well. I think Scott Snyder helped with the story too. It's a good story.
Like with during Heart of Hush period. No. That was before. That was before. Okay.
It was like while Black Mirror was going on.
I got you.
Well,
okay,
that time period. But it's about the history of.
I don't know what I was thinking there for a second. Yeah.
It dips in and out from present time.
I was thinking Black Mirror, not Heart of Hush. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that one it was someone's blowing up the bridges to Gotham.
Okay.
But then dips into the when those bridges were constructed and the connection. And Elliot,
one more thing about that.
Elliot's one of them.
That was a big, you know, you have explosions and stuff, but even that was kind of an intimate thing. It was it was basic. It wasn't Batman didn't repair the, he didn't drive around in the Batmobile or whatever and plug all the, levees and stuff and, keep Gotham from being flooded. Gotham got flooded.
Mhm.
It was him saving those people. That was such symbolic, that whole thing. So it wasn't like Batman didn't save the day completely.
Yeah.
I
think it's because they played it. It was made it was kind of a very small scale movie
Mm-hmm.
in a way,
Yeah.
They didn't have the big epic blockbuster action scenes and all that. It was pretty personal. And we were
Mhm.
with Bruce the whole time as he was taking his, the bumps and bruises, and the saving people. And, we're
Yeah.
with him as he's getting, look at all of his fighting, he's getting punched.
Yeah.
It's not one-sided every single fight.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much him, but I mean, he's taking licks through
Yeah.
all the way. And so, yeah, even the bumps and saving people and stuff like that. And that's just what made me think of the biggest action parts are seeing these explosions. But like you said, he's in Nashton's apartment watching it as
Yeah.
it's happening,
Mm-hmm.
which I think like that really worked as well.
Yeah. So it wasn't, again, it was still pretty small. It served a purpose. Now he prevented, it was clear that Nashton, the Riddler, was hoping to bring Gotham down, period, all together. And Gotham, Gotham that didn't happen, but that was more on, his plan didn't go, he didn't plan it well enough for it to just destroy the entire city, period.
Yeah.
And I think there was also a point of where he thought it would demoralize the city so much that it would destroy it. But they came out, it seems, more resolute.
Mm-hmm.
The mayor talks about, we rebuild the city and, it's going to be tough and whatever.
So we were saying ballsy earlier.
Yeah.
I think it was ballsy to end the movie in the state that Gotham's in.
Yeah.
Because most of the time there's resolution of, okay, good, everything's repaired, we're good.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
End of movie.
If that had been a 90s Batman movie, Batman would have plugged those levees and the city would have been saved, and it would be, it would just been a different type.
Or added a 4 months later.
Yeah.
And everything's pretty much back to normal now. We're okay.
Or he would have had some sort of Wayne technology or whatever contraption vehicle that could have flown around or whatever and plugged everything and saved the city from, you know what I mean? It would just been something like that. And this wasn't like that. So the whole thing worked for me. And I don't have issues with that third act. And as someone who's seen it 3 times and someone that's seen it 4 times, it's God, 100% of reviews are done after one screening. This is a film that definitely needs to be seen more than once.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to let's go, I'm not having a hashtag moment where I was saying, go see it so we can, we can inflate the box office. It's not that. It's just, I'm talking as a fan of movies, and Batman.
Though my grade roughly sits at the same, and most of the time I think it really does. It does anyway. How I feel after a first screening of a movie is usually in the ballpark of how I end up feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the big, like I told you, though, the big arc that's supposed to hit you of the I'm Vengeance at the end worked for me, my second, third, and fourth viewing better than it did the first viewing. Yeah. And that's a big part of the movie.
Yeah.
So it is and I'll be the first to admit that when it comes to Batman, I don't necessarily make excuses. I just think I probably if there is some kind of it's a little bit of a stretch, I let it slide a lot more than any other movie.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, as cheeseball as it is, it's like, because I love being in the world of Batman. So I'm kind of like, I don't care. This is okay. So this is what happened. I accept it. That's what happened. I like it. It works.
Did you find the the bombs flooding Gotham to be like out of the realm of possibility. There was like, so it's kind of borderline fantastical.
Oh, I didn't think borderline fantastical.
Yeah. And
I
I
think
and I mean
that-
that in a way if we're okay, borderline absurd. How about that?
No, and I think after I have more viewings, maybe I could see, because I think I came across, and this wasn't I couldn't find it again to save my life, I'm sure, that a comment or review or something like that of maybe Nashton getting arrested probably could have been wrapping up the movie. And in a way, maybe I could, okay, maybe that would have worked. But we didn't get, if the movie would have kind of wrapped up then, we don't get the big payoff moment.
You don't.
Of
That's the
Batman.
thing. You don't get the arc doesn't complete. It's not completed at that
So
point.
to get us to that point, I don't know. I just kind of feel like everything relates to build to get to that moment and to get the I mean, we think Nashton knows who Batman is. We get a good interrogation scene of Arkham, which I also love the fact that they didn't show an exterior of Arkham. We didn't really see any of Arkham. We were close proximity of Arkham there and later on, like right before the end of the movie. So they still have that completely open to design it how they want it to look. But we got that moment where, and then that leads to him going back to the Riddler's apartment for something that was there all along and he just missed it. I mean, the opening murder scene of the mayor, we see the instrument that he uses. So it's like in focus. It's almost like everything's out of focus and that comes popping into focus.
Yeah.
A small detail, sure. But it's almost like a little nudge and repeat viewings of, see, it's kind of been there all along. And that's the Riddler.
I will
It's been
say
there all
that
along. You got to figure it out.
I got the whole purpose of the third act and the completion of Batman's arc the first time I saw it. I totally got what they were doing. I can see someone thinking, oh, they just put in a big action sequence, without not really.
It's scary because in watching that last video, so we've gotten this Riddler voice manipulated, really, like, he's scary as hell in those videos. We see that last video, him humanized kind of, he has no voice manipulator, but then you start to realize all these people that he's inspired. And yeah, that's scary. That's a cult. Cults are scary.
Yes.
Because of those followers. And so then that leads to Batman realizing, no, of course, it's an awesome action scene, but also think about it more so of Riddler's kind of inspired these people to dress like him, to get in these spots with guns and to try and shoot and kill the mayor. And he's like, well, shit, he's inspired these others. I need to stop them and put a stop to this. Okay. Well, then what's that lead to? It leads to them basically saying, I'm vengeance, which relates to Riddler thinking, no, Batman, you and I were partners in this. We're the same. And that guy says, I'm vengeance, which is how Batman opened up the movie. So it kind of, everything just led into the next, which if people felt that was where it kind of dragged a little bit, I'd say, okay, I can't tell you what does and doesn't work for you. But for me, that's how it clicks together. And that's how, after Riddler's arrested, I wouldn't like, I think it totally is valid how it ends. Another half hour later.
If it had ended with the Riddler in jail, I think there would be part of me going,
that's it.
That's it.
That feels like a 90s. And I love Batman Forever. I do. It has a lot of shortcomings, but it feels very 90s of caught the bad guy. All right, off we go. End of movie. It's without the big a big like emotional moment. It's almost like it's an action moment that ends and then done. And so I'm glad that it extended because I wanted the world to keep going anyway. I wanted the movie to keep going, but
let's talk about that scene at Arkham between Batman and the Riddler. Because the Riddler asked for Batman. And he
How
goes,
good is Paul Dano in that scene?
he's awesome. And also is Affleck. Also is Pattinson. Because he thinks going in that the Riddler knows who he is. Because he tells Gordon, this all be coming to an end. What? The Batman.
As soon as we stopped recording last week, I told you this because, of course, it was a big spoiler. I thought they were going the route of the Batman Riddler scene in Hush, where Batman was going to end up saying, because in that story, Riddler basically, it's kind of like, I know who you are. I know who you are. I have this on you. And Batman tells him, well, what good's a riddle if everyone knows the answer?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how he gets Riddler to shut up. And I thought, oh, is this the scene that they're going, the way they're going with the Bruce Wayne part? But then I think it's so, what do I want to say? Maybe it's not subtle, but as Batman, he's staying back out of the light.
Staying back, yes, on purpose.
And he looks at the camera.
Yes.
Which I don't think, maybe you don't pick up on. I don't know, but that's, I was like, okay, he's staying back as he's going through the whole Bruce. And then you even see with his eyes.
Yes.
Which notice, no lenses. So we can see these eyes. It totally works.
Yes.
And then once basically Nashton reveals of like, it's the only one we didn't get. And Bruce like looks up. I'm sorry, Batman looks up. And that's like a realization of, shit, he doesn't know who I am. And then he steps up.
He moves up. Yeah.
I thought that like, I'm not trying to over exaggerate. I just think that that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Because it's allowing us as viewers to figure that out. It's not him narrating and saying, oh, once did I realize that Edward Nashton didn't know who I really was, I decided to walk up. It's like, no, we get to figure that out.
And you see it with his eyes the moment that he realizes.
Yeah.
And he comes up. And then there's also that he tells Batman, oh, you're not as smart as I thought you were.
Yeah.
Well, you're not as smart as you think you are too, Haas, because shout out, kind of a shout out. No, no pun intended with Ron Haas.
Yeah. He is very smart. Okay.
All right, pal, Haas, Bucko, Champ.
Yeah.
Whatever. You're not as smart as you either because you didn't figure out who I am. Because
we don't know at that point what's the point of this interrogation scene. And I know now I think it's great that the Batman Joker interrogation scene in Dark Knight is still my favorite. Yeah. But now we have another great interrogation scene. Although I don't know if you'd call this interrogation because it is him showing up to talk, but you don't know going in there what's the point.
Yeah.
Why does Batman need to go talk to him? Or why does he need to talk to Batman? And then he's in there with him. You have that. Oh, he doesn't know who Bruce is Batman. Yeah. So where's it going now?
Yeah.
Oh, it's to him saying we're the same.
Yeah.
In which Batman has to tell him.
Yeah. No. In his mind, the Riddler's mind, they were going to sit there together and watch all this play out, and be best of friends. And it's like, no. I mean, when he trips out, oh no, this is not how this is supposed to end.
And I love when Batman freaks out after that with the "What have you done?"
Yeah,
and it starts pounding the window too.
Yeah,
which I know we saw the one "What have you done?" in the trailer. But yeah, how he kept doing it more and more, and that builds up even more. And which didn't even dawn on me. And we listened to the Riddler's theme that they released way before the movie. That Ave Maria was built into it.
Yeah.
Well done. Shoot, what was I gonna say? No, I don't know. I lost it.
Okay.
But I thought the Variety article, when it was talking about the tease of Edward and another character in Arkham. Yeah. And I think didn't Reeves have a version without this Batman and Edward scene? And I thought they said that they tested that. And it didn't test as well.
It wasn't in place of that one. It was just another scene where he goes to Arkham. Well, we can just say who it is. I don't care.
Okay.
I mean,
so Joker.
The Joker. Yeah.
But I thought that also extended. So they cut the Edward and Joker scene. They cut Batman and Joker scene, which we haven't seen yet, which I have a theory. We'll get to that in a moment. But I thought in that article, they also said cut out the Batman and Edward scene.
No,
at
that's been
Arkham.
that's been
in the whole time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got
it.
They tested it with no Joker, period. They tested it with both, and they tested it with just the Riddler Joker scene. And they kept that. And I like Reeves' explanation of why he kept that, because the one thing I went, you really didn't have to have that scene. But the way Reeves explained it, I get it. It was to say, yeah, the beginnings of Batman's Rogues Gallery, they're there.
Mm-hmm.
And that, if you think things are going to get better, Batman, just hold on, because you got all this stuff bubbling up, Joker and all these other Batman villains that will pop up, I'm sure, at some point. And Hush, Tommy Elliott, it's quite possible.
I think so. Have you visited? So at the very end of the movie, the text comes up and says goodbye on a screen, like it's the Riddler, and then it flashes the radaalada.com. Have you gone to that since?
I have not.
Okay, so you go there, and I'll show you. It's a bunch of like the green text and stuff, but in that, one of the things, it's almost like it's website addresses or something, files. In it, there's Gotham. In it, there's Arkham. And like right now, it's at 55%. It says loading ... 55%.
Okay.
From the first screening, I went there, and it was like 10%. A second screening, like 23%, and so it keeps rising.
Okay.
And I think the theory online is that we're going to get that scene, because Reeves even said in the first article that he came across of it being deleted, and he said it's a really cool scene. I hope it'll be on the deleted scenes or something like that.
Yeah.
Like we'll get to see it.
Yeah.
So I think this might be.
Oh, that would be cool.
I don't know and I think the Variety article, because you posted it in the BOF Facebook group where he talked about cutting that scene. And he said that he wants to wait until most people have gotten to see the movie before we get to see that. So maybe that's what this is. Maybe it's, we don't know, but if it reaches a certain amount of visits, I don't know. But the Rada Alada, it's like the word Spanish ahoy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So keep checking in on that, which I know if you're in this kind of, this space at all, I think you're going to know when it's available, because everybody's going to post it.
Yeah.
It's something to keep checking back on. That's fun.
So I did like his Reeves explaining why he cut, because Batman goes to talk to the Joker to get some, it was almost like Hannibal Lecter type thing, because he's got the Riddler doing what he's doing. He's killing folks. So he's going to get some sort of, it was like a detective, he's going to get some kind of insight from somebody else who had been killing folks. Even I think Reeves even said that, So Batman had put him in there. It's put the Joker in Arkham at some point already. They have a history, which will be different, because if and when, Reeves said that doesn't necessarily mean that the Joker's going to show up in another film. It's just, again, he's part of the world building, and I've got to have the Joker at some point.
Yeah, I think that's a good way for him. And again, I'll ask him Thursday when we're having lunch. I think it's a good way for him to kind of be like, no, this isn't meaning that we're using. He's not pinning himself in a corner by teasing that the Joker's in the next movie. I don't think, given the placement, given the fact Joker's locked up and stuff, I don't know. I didn't take that, Joker's the villain in the next movie. It was completely different than Begins. The vibe at the end of Begins. Yeah. Like that to me is a tease. Like, hey, we got this new guy out here running wild. It's like basically this is your next case, where that's not what this felt like at all.
No, and it's different that in 89, Batman 89, and in Dark Knight, when we see Batman versus the Joker, that's the first time.
Yeah, all of their from the 66 series is the only time that they're like kind of established.
Yes. Maybe that's a nod to the 66 series, which Matt
Maybe.
Reeves loves so much. But it's also so if and when we see Barry Keegan, am I pronouncing his last name correctly?
I think so. That's how I've heard it. I didn't look it up before this to make sure,
Yeah.
but Barry Keegan is what I think.
Okay.
I think it is.
Apologies
if wrong. Yes.
Apologies if I'm wrong.
I know he's listening.
Yes. Of course.
Of course.
But it will be. They have a history. If we see the Joker in Batman already, so it's a completely different dynamic than Batman 89 and The Dark Knight. So
You think when we see them, never mind. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, you think when we see them, they'll talk about reach arounds?
Nah. Oh my gosh. So
Moving on.
just real quick, Reeves does describe the Joker's aesthetic, and he goes like right to where that was one of the inspirations for the Joker, and when he first appeared in Batman #1, which was the silent movie The Man Who Laughs, where he has a permanent grin, different than the Batman 89. He had that nerve severed type thing,
Yeah.
but this was like, he's, I mean, the whole time it's wide open, and they talk about, the use prosthetics and whatnot.
Which you can bear. I mean, you'll be able to see it a lot better in IMAX. But I mean, it does have, as he's talking, because you only see like a little bit of his face, but it looks like his lips, it looks like it's up in his teeth, that you see some teeth.
Yeah.
But I mean, he went really descriptive on what he looks like for a guy who we don't really get to see much detail.
So he says he was born with an affliction that where he has this, where he looks like he's in a permanent grin the whole time. And then it talks about The Man Who Laughs. Conrad Veidt,
I think it's Veidt. Yeah.
Played him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the character's name in that movie.
I don't know either.
Gwendol, somebody will mention it. Gwendol something. I don't get it right. But yeah, that was one of the inspirations for the Joker when they came up with that character, so, you're using that. And he mentions, he didn't fall in a vat of acid, and it's not the cut scars like with the Nolan films. It's just permanent rictus, whatever, where his mouth is completely, looks like he's got a wide ass smile all the time, and you can't ever. So he's become effed up, because it's almost sad in a way, because that he was. I'm writing the whole backstory for this Joker. You tell?
Yeah,
he had to be picked on, and he's become. And so Batman goes in to interrogate him, and he's playing head games. And he even says, he's playing head games with the Riddler. That's what this Joker will do. That he'll get in people's heads and play head games with them. And I thought the dialogue sounded like the Joker,
Mm-hmm. Not what I expected. His tone.
Yeah.
He's a very like high pitched.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely with
doesn't sound like Jack Nicholson, because Jack Nicholson sounded like Jack Nicholson. Period. Heath Ledger had that whole thing going on,
Ledger almost had like this bass with his
how he described
it, pitched parts, but this was very
Ledger described it to Nolan when he said, here's my voice I'm going to use. It's like a ventriloquist. Did you ever read that?
Yeah.
And I get that when you see it, but anyway, it's different, and
we'll see.
Yeah.
He got a name credit though.
Yeah.
Before Colin Farrell or Andy Serkis, which I thought was pretty wild.
Yeah.
So good for him.
Yeah. He's too quote unquote big of an actor. He's a hell of an actor, this guy. He sure wasn't going to be Officer Stanley Merkel.
That was remember, that was like the rumor for a long time that he was Officer Merkel.
It was because that's how they announced him.
which is interesting.
Yeah. That was
Which
that was complete. They weren't going to. Reeves said I wasn't going to announce him as the Joker, obviously, and I wasn't going to announce him as
officer number 3
or unseen Arkham patient or whatever, unknown Arkham patient, because people would figure it out immediately if he used that. But it was always the plan to use the Joker. That Stanley Merkel was that was just that was a fake thing. So, all right, look, we're getting into an hour on this. I'm thinking, Ryan,
sure,
we take on one more topic of this film, and then we do a part 2.
Oh boy,
we do a part 2.
Okay,
is that fair?
Sure.
Okay, because
One more
there's just so
topic.
much. There's just so much. So I'll let you choose. We spent a lot of time on the third act. We have not talked about the Catwoman Batman relationship, or Catwoman or Selena Kyle.
Maybe there's your part 2, the relationships.
Yes. Okay.
We'll address one because we can't just do one now and then call it quits, because there's a lot. So maybe that'll be the part 2.
We'll take on let's just do this. We'll take on the supporting characters.
Mhm.
We'll talk about Penguin, Falcone, and Zoe Kravitz as Selena Kyle in part 2. So let's finish up with just Pattinson as Batman.
Okay. And I have a question for you too after that.
All right.
That's not Pattinson based.
Okay. What's your favorite scene? Can you pick one scene you think, man, that's might be my favorite scene with Pattinson, or anything? Your overall impression now that you've seen it 4 times of Pattinson.
I think Batmobile is still my favorite scene.
Yeah.
I love that Batmobile scene.
Yeah.
And I don't want us to not to have the next movie is only him on the bike. I want a Batmobile scene the next movie, and then I want a Batmobile scene, and then the next movie. I loved that scene. But something that instantly I love it when he comes out of the shadows.
Real quick, the Batmobile scene.
Sure.
I do not think it was ruined anyway by the trailers.
Nope.
Because it's just, I mean, there's a lot more to it than what you see in the trailer. But the thing that really got my anxiety up is the fact when both were going to, they're going into incoming traffic and out. Usually when you get a chase scene, it's a chase scene, literally.
Yeah.
This was a chase scene with a hell of a lot more around it. And that Batmobile,
that build up as it's revving up, before takeoff. And instantly, I don't have a ranking of the best Batmobile scenes, but it is right there with 89 Begins, Dark Knight.
Oh,
it is right there with those. Which those 3 I think are on the same level too.
It's great.
I just think it's really, really good.
But I think the one thing that may kick it up a notch over them just a hair is that the end when Batman's walking from the Batmobile, just walking to the Penguin and his
giggles
car,
every time.
Yeah.
When it cuts and he's like doing this little side peeking through the window at Penguin every time from the theater. And I love that's such a great little capper. And Mike actually he said he likes that he likes Westerns. And I go, well, then you had to be grinning when after he flips and then you see Penguin looks and there's Batman walking and it's got almost like that Western little twang going on a little bit, and it sounds like he has spurs on when he's walking in his boots. That's a fun little nod.
It's I love the opening where with the voiceover. Another thing that's cool and different is that he goes out as on his motorcycle with his what they call it, the drifter. That's how the McFarlane. There's an action figure with him, the drifter Bruce Wayne. He goes out and he's watching. And then when it's time for Batman, he carries the bat suit in a duffel bag on his motorcycle. He's got his eye, it even actually shows him putting the eye black around. And then, but that the first time we see Batman, with opening dialogue. He's reading from his journal. The bat signals flared up, and how the shadows, people looking down alleys that are, black, and they're thinking, is he in there? Could he be in there? And there's several cases of that. And then that, that gang, which clearly is some sort of, they got that kid and it's some sort of gang initiation where he's got to go punch somebody in the face, knock their ass out, and the kid really doesn't want, you could tell he's apprehensive. And then the bat signals flared up and he's really apprehensive. And then finally, they show this alley or darkness scene, coming out. And we've seen a couple of others before, but Batman hadn't showed up. And then we hear that boom, 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 boom. And you see him come out of the shadows, literally.
Yeah.
And the look on Pattinson's, his eyes again. Hey, you get lenses though. I don't hear anything. You got lenses. There were lenses in this movie. Batman wore lenses. Isn't that a better way to do it than actually have little lenses flip down? Because you get the same thing.
I'll never say like absolutely not anything, because if Matt Reeves could come around, give him lenses and make it work, because technically he gave him lenses and it worked, Yeah. So I'll never say no, but like, hey, if I have to choose lenses or no lenses, and I'd say for live action, no lenses, because we get to see his eyes. And I've never got lost. I think I told you this afterward, but I've never gotten lost into another man's eyes as much as I did Pattinson's watching the Batman.
Yeah.
Because he really, like, I don't know, he did, because he's a really good actor. And that's something that he uses throughout and stuff. So yeah, it worked to him not having lenses.
You could do the lenses where it's, if you want him to have night vision, those little contact lenses could do the same thing. You just say they do it,
Yeah.
Just he upgrades them, right?
Yeah.
So I want to get lost in this. Is hypothetical, but just back to that scene and him, who the hell are you supposed to be? Look at this, look at this guy. Who the hell are you supposed to be? And it was Pattinson who, it was when he said, who you supposed to be? And it's Halloween, right? And Pattinson in the script says, he goes, I'm vengeance. Then he beats the hell out of the guy. And Pattinson suggested, I beat the hell out of the guy. And why
dead?
And why he's like half alive, I say I'm vengeance. And they went with that. And then he kicks the rest of their gang's asses. He takes some shots too, It's not like he was just perfect, Arkham game type thing. And he goes to the guy that he saves, and that guy's scared as hell. He scared the shit out of this guy too. He saved him. He's like, don't hurt me, So I love that. I loved everything. I thought Pattinson was fantastic. I had no issues with the Bruce Wayne Alfred relationship at the beginning, because it changes, it turns, and you can see him when he figures out that Bruce Wayne is the next target, and he's racing to Wayne Tower, and he calls, and there's the there's Alfred's housekeeper. I don't even know, wasn't in Harriet, but
yeah, I don't know what she's supposed to be.
She's some
Alfred's
sort of
Alfred.
Yes, Alfred's Alfred. Yeah. And he's like, something bad's about to happen. And he's like, he already has. And he's in Batman, but he's talking as Bruce Wayne because he knows, and Alfred.
Did you see Alfred next to him was a Shakespeare bust?
I did.
That's a fun nod.
That was time
told
too.
Me.
Yeah.
I didn't notice it the first time. And Pal had texted me and said, hey, look at this.
But you could tell, he's in a panic because he's worried about Alfred.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he would never tell himself that he cares about anybody, And that was part of the thing. He didn't want to care about anybody. because of what happened with his parents, and even Alfred, he pretended like he didn't care about. And then at the, in the hospital, it's, I don't want to lose anybody I care about, again. So
Yeah. So they're going to be much more status quo next movie.
And you get a little bit of
For
that
sure.
because Alfred does help
Mhm.
quite a bit. Helps Batman in the movie.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. You want to
Handsome
ask me
is
a question,
great.
or
Yes.
did you anything you want to any just? And
My
I love
proudest
the art.
notice.
Yeah. Okay.
My proudest notice, which
Okay.
where I'm probably going to go with this,
Yeah.
is the fact that I got to or that I noticed on the second viewing after Batman goes to the Iceberg Lounge, meets Penguin and Selina. It goes from there to an establishing shot of the Iceberg Lounge is in the bottom right, and building across the street, and in that top window, you can see Edward Nashton is there looking through his telescope and all that stuff. You see him moving. They hang on it a little bit, and then it cuts back to, I think, Selina leaving, like close up of her leaving the Iceberg Lounge on her bike or something like that. And that was fun. Like, is it completely relevant? No, but it's a fun discovery of, oh, look at this. If you saw it that first viewing, you just thought somebody's in a room or whatever, in an apartment. But then you realize, oh, later on, bring the rat into the light where he shoots him from Falcone from and everything. It's like, yep, adds up. It was there. Classic Riddler, another thing, was there all along.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a small thing, but it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah. Because it just completely, I mean, he was there the whole time. Yeah.
And so on the Batman Book Club Twitter, I did a poll. It's still open if you want to look. But I said, I said of the ones listed, because you're limited to 4 on Twitter, of the ones listed, which Batman book do you think was the biggest inspiration for the Batman?
Yeah.
I listed The Long Halloween, Earth One, Sins of the Father, which is Telltale series, and then Zero Year. And I've gotten some comments and messages and stuff, and completely rightfully so, of saying like, oh, why wasn't Year One on there? I got Year One all over the place. And it's weird to me in the sense of, once they were telling me parts, then I was like, oh yeah, I do, I agree. And it was definitely like the Drifter Bruce at the very beginning and walking. I thought like that's Bruce in Year One.
Yes.
Selina in her apartment, they felt that was definitely Year One. And so, but then I feel like, to me, that's why I omitted Year One, because I also wanted it to be a little interesting. But each of those books had some moment in the movie that instantly made me think of the comic series. Long Halloween was Falcone Sam when he was shot and Bruce was watching. I can picture that 2-page spread from the book.
Yeah.
Earth One, Batman literally says, I'm vengeance, in the book and in the movie. Not to mention so many aspects of the Riddler, I think, in this movie are come from that book. Also, Jeff Johns and Gary Frank get a thank you in the credits. Sins of the Father, it literally says Sins of the Father in the movie multiple times. It links the possibility of Thomas Wayne being corrupt. And then Zero Year, definitely with the Riddler connected. Batman, after the wingsuit and throws the parachute and then it falls or whatever, when he stands, he doesn't have a cape or anything. He looks like Zero Year Batman. Also the flooding of Gotham. Yeah. So I think that's why I selected those 4. There's nothing really that snapped in my mind with Ego, and I thought that there would be. I know I'm not saying that Reeves probably didn't use Ego, because he flat out said it multiple times with Ego. But that's why I chose those 4. So do you think one of those 4, would you have an answer right away?
I picked the Dark Knight. I picked Long Halloween.
Long Halloween. Okay, so which part do you feel with Long Halloween?
The one you mentioned, of course. I just the detective aspect of it,
the noir aspect too.
Yes, it was just it was more the vibe and the detective and noir aspect of it than anything specific. I would, without Ego, to me, was just Batman having, well, Yeah, Batman having to figure out where Bruce Wayne belongs. Can they coexist? And it's not anything that was specifically in. I mean, you never had Bruce having conversations with Batman, but that conflict is throughout, and part of the arc. Will I think in the sequel we see it with Batman, that Batman obviously turned. We'll see how much Bruce has changed. Is he going to let Bruce Wayne exist in the next one? For sure. That'll be
I haven't
interesting.
voted in my own poll.
Yeah.
And I agree as far as like the kind of atmosphere.
Yeah.
And the noir aspect of it. That scene with Falcone, that definitely is. Those were instant to me of why the Long Halloween, but I feel like Earth One's at least in strong competition with it. A lot of stuff with Batman himself.
Well, with Batman and Alfred is very similar. Alfred is
Alfred feels very much Earth One, but then as I even picked up on my fourth viewing, Riddler said he parked vans. It's like parked 7 vans. And I'm pretty sure I haven't read volume 2 of Earth One since like last year, but I'm pretty sure he has. Yeah, he does, because that's kind of like the end chase. There's bombs in a van that he's going to set off. And then Martha Arkham, like that just snapped in my head right away of like, man, this feels very, I mean, I was thinking of that anyway when we heard the first fandom trailer, I'm Vengeance. So that's why I haven't voted in my own poll, but that's where I'm like, I don't know.
Year one, the journals
that
he keeps, the narration, him reading at the beginning and at the end.
You think I should have put year one instead of one of them? Because I don't know what I'd omit.
It speaks to there's a lot of influences.
Yeah. And I almost feel like it would turn into, for sure, if I omitted one, then it's like maybe some people would vote just because it's year one or the Long Halloween. So it's like, those are one of the best ones. So I'd vote that. And I want it to be interesting. And I wanted some others to have a chance, but also I snapped with other things quicker than I did year one.
Yeah. And again, you mentioned the drifter Bruce Wayne walking the streets like he did in
which
year one.
I didn't get that, but now that it was told to me, I think it was Steve Helm told me that's where he instantly went with that. And now I will every time I see it. That's what I'm going to think.
It is the vibe. I mean, you can say that the vibe of year one and the Long Halloween are damn near the same. I mean, it's a sequel, basically. So you get that Gotham. The look of Gotham was very year one.
Sure.
It's like I said, it's like Batman Forever's Gotham and Burton's Gotham had a baby, and they got this Gotham. It's got that 70s. That 70s where Times Square was just raggedy and shitty, but still you had the neon, and it was, because you had all the bright lights, the neon look in Gotham, but it's dark and it's, the rain adds to the atmosphere. Yeah. It's just,
there's a lot
of influences. You can tell a Batman fan made this movie, Ryan.
Yeah. Damn right. I mean, because dipping into old stuff mixed with, Earth One by Jeff Johns and also New 52 of Scott Snyder. That's pretty contemporary too.
I think he was, with the year one influences. And I've always liked the year one version of Alfred a lot.
Yeah.
I like that backstory for Alfred. And they've incorporated that into the mainstream comics. And even with the Pennyworth TV show, which I've just seen a couple of episodes, he has this military, I don't want to say spy, but you know what I mean? Intelligence background. instead of just, I know there's been some versions of Alfred who he was an actor at one point in his life and whatnot. But I like Alfred he's just more than just being a butler. And I like the relationship that he has, especially this one he had with, you could tell he had a strong relationship with Thomas Wayne.
Yeah. For sure.
And I mean, I felt like I knew a lot of Alfred, even though Andy Serkis is not in. He's only in a few
not in
scenes.
it too much. Yeah.
But so all right, we'll stop here with part 1.
To be continued. There's
just so much to talk about, and you know how I am. I like people to be able to listen to these podcasts, whether on their lunch break or at the gym on the treadmill or whatever. So we'll leave it for that. So I guess we'll plug, and then we'll pick it up next time.
Oh boy. Follow all my reviews, posts and everything on Batman on Film proper. You can follow me on Twitter at Lauer_Ryan. Lauer spelled like lower. And also you can follow my podcast if you got this Batman itch going now. A Riddler itch even just dropped a new episode on the Batman Book Club, Dark Knight, Dark City, which is kind of a cult favorite Riddler story. It goes places, but it's a pretty good one. Just dropped that episode, and you can follow that Twitter account if you have some words to say on the poll question that Bill and I just talked about. You can do that on Twitter at the Batman BC. So yeah, there you go. And Bill's the next one.
Yes,
you're the next episode. How about that? No pressure.
We're going to talk about that. That direct tie-in to the Batman.
Yeah,
Batman the Imposter. No, it's
right.
Speaking of DNA, they're definitely cousins. Batman the Imposter and the Batman film.
I mean, look, I'm holding up the covers that Bill's friend Lee Bermeo did, and I mean that you're just kind of like, okay, come on, that's got some Battinson on it, right? Which I also was able to while down in Texas. My shop didn't have it, but that us Bat Boys had to go to a comic shop down there. And my comic shop had the Bermejo Batman 121.
Oh, nice. I have that poster hanging on my.
You sure do. Office. I saw it with my own eyes. I was like 3 inches away.
You went into the damn Batman office. The Batman on Film Batman office.
You want to know something funny? I'll share with you and the people at the same moment.
Do you think did you ever think how in the hell is Rachel let him put all this shit in this room?
Yeah, because I feel like she has a door that she can just close and pretend that it's not there.
Yes.
But no, so my fiance called me while we were at your house.
Okay.
And I was telling her, she's like, Did you see The Office? Like, you bet I saw The Office. I said, Bill took me to The Office. She goes, would you mind? Because we were on a video call.
Yeah.
She said, would you mind just show me real quick? Because and I was like, she goes, well, can you take me to Bill so I can ask him if I can see The Office? So I went into the house because I was in the garage talking to her, and you guys were all talking, and I wasn't going to interrupt to put her on the spot. So I snuck her into The Office on my phone, Bill, and I showed her.
That's fine.
I showed her the letter.
Okay.
And you know what that means?
Yes.
The letter.
But
she saw some things that I have, and then she saw some other stuff, and she was like, are you going to want that? And I said, I think I do. So yep. You like to shop at Target. I love to shop at Target. Yeah. So we were assembling my office while looking at the Bat office. So there you go.
Yeah, I got a few Batman things in here.
You don't have your web TV in a case yet.
That's gotta happen.
You need to put that up somewhere.
So did you have fun in Dallas and at the watch party?
Oh hell yeah.
Okay.
It was I hope we have another one because there's in the BOF Facebook group, there's talking to people, and some of those people showed up and I got to meet them, and that was great. And then I think everybody had a blast of just talking, eating, drinking a little bit. And a highlight that day for me was, I think April had brought her son. He was great. He was a hoot. He was very excited for this Batman. But then also just us Bat Boys, the BOF team, we all stayed and we took over a hotel. Basically, it was the BOF hotel for the weekend, and we were inseparable all 4 days, and it was a hell of a time. And the watch party was icing on the cake.
You got to, well, you've had Micah, my son. Y'all have done shows together before. So you got to meet him in person.
Got to meet him in person.
You got to meet Jake, my other son.
Yep.
He's not all that talkative.
No, he wasn't. I told you, you're like, how was he? I said, well, he spoke when spoken to.
Yeah. I mean, even hell, you and Haas and Jake and Micah went out together down at the Star in Dallas or in Frisco and hung out for quite a while.
Ordered some chips and queso.
Yeah.
And queso in Texas is a lot different than queso in Indiana.
Yeah.
The sides of my tongue were on fire.
Well, you know what? Speaking of another watch party, I'm gonna let you in on. There's a strong rumor going around that the watch party for the Batman sequel is going to be kind of in your neck of the woods, but you're part of the country in Minneapolis.
Okay. Down. I'm down.
Strong rumor. So
I tell you what, walking into the tavern before the movie, and Matthew Sharif. Yeah. What a nice gentleman that was. But he was like, I'm here to party. Yeah. Shots of whiskey for everybody. Like what a gentleman.
I was like, thank you, but no thank you on that.
I didn't want to be rude. So
I was not.
I was gracious and I accepted.
Sir. Okay. So, but
boy, did that go down too. Like, that's a way to start it.
Yes, at 12 noon. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Stay tuned for part 2. I'm just, look, you go to Batman on Film, you can find everything it pertains to me. Let me ask you one question. So you went to my watch party. You came in the office. You think I deserve my Batman card back?
I think so.
Okay.
Because you have 2 action figures from one of the greatest moments in television history. And I'm talking about the great surfing duel between Batman and Joker.
I do. Yes.
One of the best half hours of TV ever produced. And yeah, you have those still in packaging too. Mm-hmm. Which you never updated. You did a picture. Yeah. You hold in like a box cutter or a scissor or something in front of your figures on, should I open it? And you had a ton of people telling you yes.
Scissors, and I just couldn't. I did take out the Batman ones so
you
far.
You did. That looks good. That's good presentation.
One, and I could go on and on. Quick shout out to Steve Helm. He picked up that AMC Bat Cow popcorn deal, and I tell you what, we talked about last time you showed me. Those are awesome, man.
As awesome as I said, huh?
Yes, I got it on. It looks like something you would get as a I mean, it is a collectible. I mean, I've heard that. I looked on eBay, and they're going for $50, $700. People trying to get for those things right now.
Yeah.
So, all right,
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Don't put any popcorn in it.
No,
it'll lose its value.
No popcorn, no beer, nothing. I'm not putting any. I mean, nothing. Just It's like I've got his cowl up there. All right. So for Ryan, I'm Bill. Stay tuned for part 2 on episode 56. We'll finish up our discussion of the Batman. And I know the boys, Garrett and the other guys, are going to talk about the Batman on the Batman on Film official podcast as well. So part 2 will be coming shortly. Thanks for listening. I'm Bill. For Ryan, thank you. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks for listening to the BOF Social Hour, Jett's official vlog and podcast on Batman on Film. Follow Jett on Twitter @Batman on Film. Follow the BOF newsfeed on Twitter @The Batman on Film. For Jett and everyone at BOF, I'm announcer Rachel. Authoritative, definitive, the original, Batman on Film, established in 1998.